So the main aim of this workshop was to look at how we as engineering educators might tie together all the pieces that we want our students to learn. So we've talked about integration, how we can create a curriculum where the transferable skills, the practical skills and the theory can actually come together as a whole, so that students develop seeing those as a number of parts that they need to become a professional engineer. So we've talked about how external bodies might collaborate, how we might bring departments together, but also how we might bring the elements that make up our curriculum together to form something where the students see how pieces of what they learn interrelate with each other. Through the course of the workshop, we've had a really positive response from the delegates. I think what's been most pleasing is to share some of our experience, but also bring the experience of the delegates, both how it differs and how the South African context as a whole can be made to play out in the way that we develop our curriculum. What's come up time and time again from people is the context that everyone sits in, the context of their local university, whether it's practical or around the culture of the students that they bring together, and how we need to think about the ideas that we've been talking about, how we might integrate things, and we need to really make them practical to the local experience, how we can make it really real for our students and something that our students are going to be able to really get hold of and appreciate that is authentic to them. I think one of the most interesting things when we've talked about how the experience in the UK compares with the experience in South Africa is that a lot of the challenges, a lot of the issues we face are very similar. Certainly at the large scale we face challenges about the diversity of our student body, about the funding, the resources we have, and very much they're similar but they play out different in the different contexts. So I think we've had some really useful discussions of how some of the things we just can't see translating, whereas other things really we can see how we could apply in both contexts and they could both be of value. The style of the workshop has been very interactive. We very much see this as an opportunity to share our experience, but also to gain from the experience of the participants, both between the South African organisations and the number of universities that are here, and bring some of the ideas from the UK. So we see it very much as a chance to collaborate, a chance to discuss both shared experience and the differences of experience. And that's really where we see the value has come from. And we've seen the discussion being very lively and very positive in how that shared experience gives others motivation to try things in their own context.
The purpose of the workshop is very much about how you can develop a curriculum that is meaningful both for the students and for their ultimate employment in industry. So part and parcel of that, particularly in this day and age, is ensuring that what you're sharing with students is very multidisciplinary, so they're not just focused on one particular area of study, and also the different elements of the program are integrated together in that meaningful way, rather than what has tended to be the case in many programs in the past, which is that we have discrete silos, so modules are not connected in a meaningful way. When it comes to thinking about curriculum development, curriculum change, certainly if you want to integrate the curriculum more, it's very much a case of thinking about the wider context. It's not just the elements, the technical elements, the managerial elements, the things that you might first off think about. It's certainly about thinking about the whole environment that your students are going to be learning in, the development of the staff, how industry plays a part in it, just that wider, if you like, societal context around higher education. When you compare the UK and South Africa at the moment, I think it's certainly within the UK we are undergoing an intense period of change. We've got measures and metrics, we've got government policies, we've got demands being placed on higher education that are perhaps forcing us to think about how we go about developing our curricula, delivering our curricula, and how we work with our students in the classroom.
So that's what I've learned here. I've learned that for you to come up with a viable and a very good curriculum that will fit to the needs of the nation, you need the whole collection of the people that must contribute into the curriculum, so that at the end of the day, all stakeholders that are going to receive the end product are all pleased, because that is their product. That's what they want.
What's been really useful for me in this workshop is that it's all very well to speak about integrated curricula, and it's certainly the buzzword at the moment, but The implementation of it is really tricky, and particularly when you're working in an academic environment where staff tend to be very individualistic and there's very little integration between staff. What I found quite useful was some of the ideas around how to work with staff, the fact that there are ways of bringing them together, thinking about the relationships. Yeah, one of the really nice things about the workshop was working with other people, meeting new people who've got the same kinds of interests. And we had a couple of occasions where we were able to talk to each other about sharing materials that we've each developed ourselves. So not just, oh, I've got to reinvent the wheel, but, oh, you've thought about that, how did you do it? Would you mind sharing that with me? And across different disciplines, across different institutions, that's been really very useful in this workshop.
Well, the most important thing, of course, was the interaction with colleagues from different universities. We've got, universities offering, Bachelor of Science in Engineering. We've got colleagues from, universities of technology, and that kind of, diversity, in terms of sharing the experience. I think it was something that I didn't expect, but it was very, very useful. We learned a lot, and also realize that the kind of problems that we have, actually we all face the same kind of problems with our curriculum, and I think the interaction, the different knowledge, the cross-pollination was very, very much useful to me.
The last thing which I enjoyed most was the issue of dynamism. The world is changing, things change, there must be dynamics. So the curriculum actually should be a living organism, changing all the time, being reviewed almost frequently, so that it is in line with long life learning, and renewed and reviewed all the time, so that it is alive as we move on with teaching and learning most of the time.